The steady tapping of Kira Hayes's white cane echoed across the polished marble of Ashwood Academy. Each soft strike was like a drum beat, announcing the presence of the black girl who had just transferred in on a diversity scholarship. Students along the grand hallway of the elite Baltimore, Maryland High School turned to look, their gazes a mix of curiosity and ill-concealed ridicule. At 16, Kira carried herself with a strange, powerful calm. Her dark glasses hid the eyes that had lost sight since she was 9, but they couldn't conceal her composed, unshakable aura. Amid the noisy crowd, Preston Thorne noticed her immediately. The son of the wealthiest family in the city, accustomed to power, privilege, and fear, looked at Kira as nothing more than an opportunity for cruel amusement on her very first lunch break in the cafeteria. Kira carried her tray forward, step by step, her cane tracing a path through the sound of muffled giggles at nearby tables. Just as she found a seat, a male voice rang out, deliberately loud. "Let me help you sit in the right place." The voice was smooth, feigning politeness. It was Preston Thorne. He grabbed Kira's tray, pretending to be gallant, but within moments the tray tilted. A stream of icy apple juice spilled down onto her spotless yellow school blouse. "Oops, my bad," Preston drawled. The area erupted with mocking laughter, not from everyone, but enough to form a chorus of derision. Kira stood absolutely still, juice dripping onto the floor, her face unchanged. She reached into her bag, pulled out a packet of tissues, and calmly dabbed away the mess. Another boy from Preston's group, Leo, chimed in, "Why don't you cry? Isn't that what people like you usually do?" Kira lifted her head, turning toward the voice. "Cry? It's just apple juice." Her indifferent response cast a sudden hush over the space. Laughter faltered, replaced by uncertain glances. Preston frowned. Standing nearby, Sofia Rodriguez had seen it all. The Latina girl with warm eyes hurried over, pulling a spare gym shirt from her bag. "Do you want to change? I can help." Kira gave a small nod and answered simply, "Thank you." From the next table, Gene Park observed quietly. The reserved Korean-American boy, known for his sharp logic and programming skills, spoke in a dry tone. "Your system of organizing files is unusual. Tactile labels on each colored folder. Very efficient." For the first time that day, Kira allowed herself a faint smile. "I like order." While she found a flicker of comfort in two new allies, Preston couldn't stand her composure. He leaned toward his friends, muttering, "She doesn't flinch, doesn't cry. Something's off." Leo whispered, "Maybe she's used to it." Preston shook his head, frustration hardening his eyes. "No, she thinks she's better than us. I'll make sure she bows her head." At the end of the school day, Kira waited at the gate for her father to pick her up. Footsteps approached from 3 directions. Preston, Leo, and Marcus blocked her path. "Still standing here, charity case?" Preston sneered. Kira turned slightly toward him, her voice calm. "I hear you, but I haven't heard a question worth answering." Her words made Leo laugh, but Preston clenched his fist. "You think you're clever? By the end of this week, I'll make you cry. Bet $50 on it." They walked off, their chuckles echoing, but Kira had heard everything. She tilted her head, her ears recording every nuance of sound. That night, Kira sat in her small apartment bedroom in Milford, Delaware, her hand resting on the white cane. Memories pulled her back 7 years. The doctor's announcement of a rare condition that had stolen her sight. Her mother's tears. Her father, Richard Hayes, a former Marine hardened by discipline, went silent, and then he took her to a small dojo run by Master Chen. "You will learn to see without your eyes." The first months were hell, falls, bruises, despair. But through relentless training, Kira began to sense breaths, footsteps, the air shifting around her. She learned to see with her entire body. Master Chen's words still rang in her memory. "True strength lies in silence and patience. Let your enemy believe you are weak until you prove them wrong." Kira removed her glasses, tied a black blindfold, and rose to begin her kata routine in the living room. Her movements were fluid, each strike slicing the air with a hiss. Outside, moonlight streamed through the window, sketching the silhouette of a blind girl, unyielding, someone Preston Thorne could never imagine had been forged into a silent warrior. The next morning, the sun stretched across the lawns of Ashwood Academy. Kira Hayes walked at an even pace, her white cane tapping against the tiles. She was used to the whispers, "Scholarship kid from the diversity program. She's just putting on an act." Kira kept her posture upright, unbothered. She knew she had to stay balanced. One slip of composure, and Preston would seize it as a weapon. In the school library, Kira brushed her fingers across the raised dots of her braille book. A reaction is exactly what they want. Why give them that satisfaction? Gene, typing rapidly on his laptop, looked up and said matter-of-factly, "It's psychological strategy. If the target doesn't respond, the bully loses their reward. The reward cycle breaks, leading to escalation or collapse." Sophia glanced at him, chuckling softly. "You never sugarcoat things, do you?" Kira smiled faintly. The PE class became Preston's new stage. Students were playing dodgeball, a game from which Kira was usually excused. She sat quietly on the bench, listening to the thump of balls, the squeak of shoes, and the echo of shouts. Preston signaled to Leo. Leo nodded, picked up a ball, and crept behind Kira. Everyone waited for the moment he would hurl it. The ball hissed through the air. Kira tilted her head slightly, as if she had heard its path. It whipped past, grazing her shoulder, and struck the floor with a hollow roll that left the gym in stunned silence. "Oh my God, did she just dodge that?" a student whispered. "No way. She's blind." Preston froze, the ball slipping from his hands. In that instant, suspicion flared into obsession. That afternoon, Kira walked into the small dojo near Newark, Delaware. The wooden door creaked, and the scent of sweat and discipline filled the room. Master Chun was already waiting. "Late. School trouble. Excuses don't make your kick stronger. Warm up." She changed into her GI, tied on her blindfold as ritual. Her sparring partner was Ben, an older student. "Sensei, are you sure she can?" Master Chin's voice was like tempered steel. "Are you questioning my judgment?" Ben lowered his head. "No, sir." The spar began. At first, Ben held back, but within moments, Kira blocked, redirected, pivoted, throwing him off balance. Frustration surged, and Ben attacked harder. Kira listened to each breath, each shift of air. With a smooth hip turn, she intercepted a roundhouse kick, caught his ankle, and swept him to the mat. The dojo erupted in applause. Master Chin nodded. "Well done." Kira knew Preston wouldn't stop at childish pranks. He was too spoiled to accept defeat, and he would escalate. Master Chin's words echoed. "When the weak cannot win in the light, they will strike from the shadows. Be ready." The next day in the cafeteria, Preston stared at Kira from across the room. No more fake smiles, only suspicion and spite. He leaned toward Leo and muttered, "I'll expose her. She's not blind. She's faking." Leo hesitated. "But what if you're wrong?" Preston clenched his fists. His voice was resolute. "Just wait. I'll find out the truth." The game changed. It was no longer simple bullying for laughs. Preston had turned it into a hunt. On Tuesday night, the skies over Baltimore were dim, street lamps casting long shadows across the empty sidewalks. Kira Hayes left Master Chin's dojo later than usual. She folded up her white cane, walking steadily toward the bus stop. In the darkness, she heard other footsteps, 3 separate rhythms, hurried but held back deliberately. Kira recognized them instantly. Preston Thorne, Leo, and Marcus. She allowed herself a faint smile. Shoes scraped against gravel as a disguised voice called out, rough. "Hey, stop. Hand over your wallet and phone, or you'll regret it." Kira paused, tilting her head. In front of her, a masked figure blocked her path. 2 more figures drifted in from the sides, closing the circle. "Only a bus fare," she replied evenly. "Then hand it over," Leo barked, trying to sound menacing. "I need to get home." "Not your choice," Preston growled, reaching for her ARM. In that instant, the world slowed. Kira shifted her shoulder, rotated her hips, and caught his wrist. With one swift throw, she used Preston's own forward momentum to flip him hard over her hip. He hit the concrete with a heavy thud, the impact knocking the wind from him. Leo shouted and charged, but Kira had already tracked his ragged breaths. She pivoted, intercepted, and drove a sharp strike straight into his chest. Leo folded, clutching his torso, collapsing into wheezing gasps. Marcus froze, hands raised, voice trembling. "I don't want trouble." Kira turned toward him, her voice icy. "You shouldn't have followed them in the first place." Leo writhed, struggling to his feet, dragging Preston upright. Preston was still dazed, his breath ragged behind the mask. Kira's voice cut through, calm but razor-edged. "Preston, that cheap cologne of yours gave you away." All 3 froze. Their shock deepened, not only from being beaten so quickly, but from hearing their names spoken aloud. She knows it's us," Leo stammered. "I know everything," Kira said firmly. "And now you know something about me." Preston narrowed his eyes, his voice rasping from pain. "This isn't over." "No." Preston. Kira lowered her voice, steady as stone. It's already over. She folded her cane, turned her back, and walked toward the bus stop. The three bullies staggered where they stood, watching in fearful silence, unwilling to move closer. The way Kira left, calm, not even glancing back, made it clear the balance of power had shifted. From that moment on, no one at Ashwood Academy dared to underestimate Kira Hayes, the silent warrior, again.